Hi everyone, this is Winston here, and I just want to give my own overview on what's happening in the property market based on the analysis that I've presented here. But I'm not sure. Well, it's just my opinion. So here goes. Okay, I've got this data from Square Foot Research, and Square Foot Research is one of the places that they get their source from URA. Only difference is that they present data in a very detailed manner, and I like to break down in which they present the data. So let's analyze the market from the whole entire industry as a whole from the chart over the last 10 years. Okay, so the data presents from September to August 2014 to now August 2014, 2004 to 2014, so over a 10-year period. So we can look from here that let's start with all non-landed residentials, all districts, which is actually private housing. Okay, so as we can see from the graph here, it seems that private housing is at its lowest number of transactions over the last 10 years, with only 288 transactions, lowest in 10 years. But the average pricing, it's still the second highest in the last 10 years. The average is still high. Transaction volume low. So you can see from here that history does not repeat itself. So you can see that normally when the market is bad, when it's on a downward trend, as you can see downward trend, and you can see the downward trend, unlike the past, the property prices comes down. Whereas here, even on a downward trend, the property prices doesn't come down. There is a reason for this. It's because people are not willing to let go of their price because of the new rules that are implemented by the government, like ABSD rules, that you have to pay when you buy your second, third, fourth property. So if you sell your second property, where are you gonna put your money? You're gonna have a cut loss. And if you sell off properties within your first 4 years or so, you have to pay extra stamp duty. And because of that, people who buy new housing are not willing to buy over from you because they have to pay the extra new stamp duty plus the price is all-time high. So people are just waiting on the fence because unlike the past, if they sell the house, they don't get penalized. There's no extra stamp duty. But here, if you sell the house now, you get penalized. So you're kind of like in between. So you can't sell your house because you have to pay stamp duty, and neither would you want to buy the house because the price is too high. And you can see the trend from here because of the internet right now. Customers are able to access this public information. They will see the price is all-time high and they won't want to get in as well. So that resulted in the transaction volume being low. So let's see what happens. So if I don't want to sell my house, what do? I rent. Okay, so let's look at the rental market for residential as a whole. As you can see, as what I have, I think, which is correct, that most people do not want to sell. So what they do, they have bought properties already, they can't sell because it will make a loss, so they rent it out. So you can see that in the history of the last 10 years, we had an upward trend of a lot of people renting properties right now. So you can see we now have 5,405 renting out in July alone. So it is one of the highest, if not the highest, in the history of Singapore or within the last 10 years. So with that in mind, and you can see that it has peaked here and it started to come down. The next peak, how you know it's downward trend, when you look at the peak, the next peak is lower, the next peak is lower. So it's coming down. Seems like a downward trend. And so a lot of people are renting out their houses, so a lot of properties for rent, So it's good if the renting number of units renting out is the highest in the history of Singapore. But if we don't have enough properties, then it is good. That means rental price could continue to go up, right? But I predict, okay, just my own opinion, that it will come down. Why? Because despite having the most number of properties being rented, you can see in the news that there is a housing oversupply on the horizon from Wing Tai Boss, and this is from ST Property. And you can also see that in 2012, they already predict that there's executive condo oversupply looming, which is what's going to happen. So with that over number of supply that's going on right now in the market, plus we already rented out a lot of units already, I predict that the rental would start to drop. And rental start to drop when rental comes to a point where the person feels the pain of letting go of the property and make the loss of the stamp duty and versus rental, because right now the interest rate is low, so they can still make some profit from the rental that is going to cover their mortgage loan. But when the rental goes down under the mortgage loan, if the mortgage increases, or if the trend of the oversupply of rental properties keep coming down, then what will happen is that the owners will calculate again whether is it better to sell or better to hold and rent it out if the rental has gone beyond my mortgage loan. But if it's more worthwhile to sell the house, they would start selling house at a discounted price and make a loss. But they will calculate their loss, and they'll calculate if it's worth to hold. So maybe they'll hold and continue rent even at a loss. So that could be an impending problem towards the future. So we can see from here, from private residential price, that is the lowest in 10 years, but average price is still high, because people don't want to sell. They can't sell, unlike last time, because there's extra punishment for selling. Then the highest in 10 years and rental still high, although it's downward trend and news report oversupply. Okay, so let's look at landed. Okay, landed, the transaction sale is also the lowest in the last 10 years, all right, with only 29 transactions in landed properties. And you can see in terms of landed properties, rental is the same thing. One of the highest in terms of rental over the last 10 years. So you can see it's on a new peak, peak down, but you can see that the rental transaction is the highest for landed in 10 years. Same thing. That's why people don't want to, they buy the landed, they don't want to sell. They don't want to sell because they get penalized by the TDSR, ABSD, and the stamp duty. So because of that, I think, they don't want to sell, so they look to rent. So that's why they're all renting it out. That's why there's a lot of units available for rent for landed as well. However, the rental price is also looking downtrend, which is the same as a private property. Okay, then let's look at HDB. Now from HDB, you can see from square foot that the transaction volume is one of the lowest all-time low. However, you can see that it is transacted downward trend, as well as the price start going downward trend as well. Now that's because this is not affected by ABSD and TDSR and stamp duty as well. Everything is still as per normal. So if the HDB prices start to drop, all right, and follow after, it's okay. I mean, it means that the number of transactions is lower, and that means there is maybe oversupply of HDB. That's why people are lesser volume of people buying, all right, and the prices are coming down as well at the same time because of oversupply. And if you look at commercial, let's look at commercial. Okay, so this is commercial all district for the last 10 years. It is also the lowest in the history of the last 10 years. Well, second lowest, I would say, because the lowest was 24. Actually, the lowest was during the 2008 December, 2009, and 2010. But however, you can see the price started coming down. Whereas the price did not come down, instead it went up. So you can see that the prices are still holding because people don't want to sell at a lower price. So, and people don't want to buy because of the punishment of the ABSD and so forth. So the transaction volume is very low, and yet people don't want to sell at a low price. They don't want to, because they're still holding up with the rental. All right, so that's what happened. Let's see if the rental did also go up. Well, unfortunately for commercial, rental came down. Wow, what does that say? I mean, in private property and landed, we saw that the number of transactions go down, okay, but the rental still hold. But as for commercial properties, the landed property, the number of properties sold transacted is low, but yet the rental price has dropped tremendously, as well as the number of rent has dropped tremendously. Why? Maybe because the rent has gone up too high. And maybe companies in Singapore, maybe they're not doing well. Maybe the economy is not doing as well as what we think right now. So it has dropped. So rental has gotten too expensive. So it's dropped, And so because of the rental drop, you know why? Because a lot of them, I know, they're moving offices from commercial area into industrial area to use as offices. So a lot of them has gone over to the industrial side, So commercial is a downward trend. The price has gone down, so commercial, I'm not going to touch, because a rental I can't even cover, So I'm going to go into, maybe I'll go into industrial. Let's see, industrial. So industrial volume transaction is also the lowest in the history in the last 10 years. Only 31 transactions sold in industrial. So industrial, lowest 10 years, but price is the highest is 10 years. Oh my goodness, lowest but highest 10 years. So what does that say? Well, a lot of people don't want to sell. The prices are still holding for industrial properties. And let's see what happens to the rental. Okay, so since people don't want to buy, landed prices are high, well, most people would do rent. So a lot of rent in the market for industrial properties. And you can see it is the highest in the history of the last 10 years. Okay, it's the highest. In fact, I think it's the highest in the history of Singapore. 709 rental units available for industrial property. So it seems that, but the rental price is still high. It's not low. It seems that it's slowly trending downwards, but it's still high. Why there were so many transactions? Well, you can see that commercial offices, I think, people there are moving towards the rental to rent people here. All right, so that's why you can see that in the commercial rental, you see commercial rental has a drastic drop, whereas industrial rental increased. So I probably think that a lot of them are moving in to industrial areas. So you can see that this is the price, the number of the price is still high, but transaction volume is still low, still high. And yet this month, they still say industrial space has oversupply seen worsening. Oh my goodness. So there's too many units to rent, yet there's still more units to rent. What's that you say? So if industrial property, there's 2 units to rent and more units to rent, there's the maximum of a lot of units are renting out already rented out. Plus, there's still a lot more supply, which means I foresee rental rate for industrial properties will start trending downwards, until people feel the pinch that it's better to make a loss, than to sell it. Or maybe they may hold it, depending on how far down the rental will go. So there's an oversupply of industrial, oversupply of condo, and highest number of rental condo, highest number of rental industrial. So I guess if I'm an agent, I would just go into these 2 areas. I have a higher chance of success if I'm a new agent. So I don't know, this is just my opinion and from the data that I've analyzed. So these are kind of facts, I've facts on data and news. So I'd like to hear what you guys think about this conclusion. All right, so thank you, and do drop a comment below. I want to hear what you think from the marketplace. All right, so thank you.